where I realized that, okay, I need to make myself the happiest person. I can't rely on validation from my boyfriend.
Welcome back to Abundant Culture Podcast.
where we dissect the mindsets and tactics of the true beasts of business,
People like Gary Vee, Grant Cardone, and Warren Buffett.
all to create a blueprint to experience life more abundantly. Hey everybody, it's Joe. Welcome back to the Abundant Culture Podcast. We're so excited to have you back again this week because we are talking about a topic that most entrepreneurial podcasts do not cover. And they do not cover it because most of the time it seems very, very unrelated to entrepreneurship, business ownership, making money, cash flow, and all those things that we really, really know and love to do. But today we're actually going to be talking about dating, relationships, the mindset that you need to have behind both of those things, and the similarities and the differences between dating and relationships. And we're going to talk about how you can apply dating and relationship strategies, tactics, and mindsets to entrepreneurship in order to grow your business. And we're going to be talking about all that today with our good friend, Tiffany Gnaly.
So, hi, Tiffany, and thank you again for coming onto the podcast. You are our second international guest, so that's like always super exciting. And what you do, I would say, is very, very important because everyone needs like those first steps. But before we get into all of that, we have to know, how did you get into business? Why?
Okay, so how I got into doing my business. Have had this dream for a long time to be my own boss, to do my own thing. It's always been the repetitive sign in every single job that I had, that I wanted to like lead, and I've always been a natural leader.
Mhm.
And I wanted to, or I got into a path in my life where I realized that, okay, I need to make myself the happiest person. I can't rely on validation or, validation from my boyfriend. So I needed to create my own happiness, and I thought, like, okay, where should I start? So I started to search for a little bit of motivational podcasts, and I got over a podcast on the podcast app that had like little short snippets, episodes of motivational quotes. And I was like, yes, everything you're saying is so right. And I need to get myself like kick my ass and like get some goals and do what makes me happy. And I actually started working with that coach of the podcast. And when I saw him coaching us in that group program, I was thinking to myself, like, this is what I want to do. Like, coaching is perfect for me because I've always been able to give people great advice. And I started just doing a lot of live streams on Facebook and just putting out mindset hacks for people to see. And then after a little while, I got into dating coaching, which started about for 3 or 4 months ago only. Before that, I got into like business coaching and all that stuff. But now it's dating coaching. And the reason why I do it, the reason why I do it is because I've just always been absorbing all information about relationships and commitment and attraction and dating, and always giving my girlfriends tips on, how to how to speak with men and like how to be more confident. So it's always been a natural thing to me. That's how I got into that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is really awesome. So, I guess one of the next questions is, do you find that there's any similarities between, like dating and entrepreneurship, or dating and like being in business? Like, are there any parallels between that? Because for me personally, like, I have a rare situation because my business partner just so happens to be my wife as well. I know not everybody's in that situation, but do you see any parallels between that? And just kind of give us some of your thoughts on that.
Yeah, there are so many similarities between business and dating, and even business and relationships. So I wrote down some words on here. So first thing is that you have to be intentional both with dating and business. You have to know what you want. That makes everything a lot clearer and a lot more easy to deal with. And also no, sorry, being specific. You have to become really specific about the person that you want. Same as in business, you have to become specific about where your business is going, like kind of just planning it all out just to see the road you're heading down. And then we also have nourishing, which comes to like nourishing the relationships, nourishing the guy you're seeing or the woman that you're seeing, and also nourishing in business to your clients, the relationships you want to build there to move
Yeah.
yourself forward. And the most important thing, like you have to be able to grow and learn new things.
Mhm.
That's like the huge thing. And I feel like a lot of people, like when you when you start a business, like you two probably have this um really good in your relationship because you're both in it, so you both understand each other really well and you get to see both of you grow um at the same time. But a lot of people, if they were to be the same person in business in their relationships, they would actually create even better relationship because they will be more curious, they will be more able to grow. Does that make sense?
That does make
Yeah, that
sense.
does make sense.
Yeah.
And one of the things I found really cool about that is because you mentioned this growth part.
Mhm.
And one thing I noticed with some couples is they end up like growing apart in like two
Mhm.
separate you know directions. And then one thing that I feel like me and Jasmine did a really good job at is really growing parallel to each other, growing together, and basically making each other stronger. So would you have any like kind of advice for people who are entrepreneurs that are looking to be in a relationship? Like, what should they be looking for in a partner since they're an entrepreneur, or should it be the same exact thing as somebody who's in a W-2 job, or whatever that case may be? Should they look for different things, or should they look for the same things that everybody else should be looking for?
Yeah. So the thing with entrepreneurs is really a cool thing when they when they get out in the dating scene or looking for a real love and commitment because we're at this level where we appreciate growth a lot and we want to reach new goals and continue to grow and grow and grow. So I would definitely recommend to look for that in a future partner as well, somebody who has that understanding. Maybe you can find somebody who's already at the level that has their own business, but the most important thing I think is the common foundation that you understand growth and that you both value growth.
Mhm.
So that will be an amazing thing to look for, or it's an important thing to look for. And absolutely the thing with, yes, we tend to give all of our time to our business. So also looking for somebody who can understand that aspect of time and focus. But we also need to be good at it ourselves to give focus to our partners as well.
Yeah,
To be able to plan the time between the two,
Mhm.
because
absolutely.
I know a lot of women who come to work with me. They say that they don't want to compromise, or they feel like they're too scared to find somebody because they're afraid it will take away time from their business and making money.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like understanding that it needs to be a balance in both of the relationships, both
For sure.
business and with the man or with women.
For
Yeah, I
sure.
like that.
Yeah.
So for like the growing together part, how does, like, let's say like a man or a woman, how do they how do they do that? Like, how do you explain to them how to grow with their partner rather than like growing away?
Oh, that's a nice question. A really good one. I would suggest that, well, you need to be like a healthy individual. So you need to understand what's important for you. And I feel like if you both do that, whether you're in a relationship or, kind of getting into a relationship, if you both know what's important to you and where you're going and having that conversation with your partner, like that's the game changer. You need to talk about it. You
Mhm.
need to talk about what's important for you. And instead of feeling that you're growing apart, it's, when people growing apart, I feel like they're kind of just lacking the communication. There's no base ground of communicating their needs or their desires or where they're going, so the other person won't even understand it because they're not talking together. So communication is everything.
Mm.
Start there.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So another question I had is kind of going into, I guess, the business aspect of it. Like, how do like you find a lot of the clients that you work with? Because I feel like this is information that everybody needs, but I'm not necessarily sure if everybody know that they needs it. They need it. So, like, how do you find a lot of your clients, and what exactly is your target audience? Is it mainly men? Is it mainly women? Like, how does that kind of work?
So I work with mainly women right now. 2020 is going to be a little bit of men as well, so I'm super excited for that. But the way I find these women is that I go through social media. Like Facebook and Instagram are my two main platforms. I really love Instagram though, since it has everything: writing, video, photos, everything on there.
Yeah,
um, so I usually just do my form of marketing where I just put out this content targeting exactly what they want, which is what I feel like is the most important thing. And one of the things, a funny story, one of the things I actually struggle with a lot was to focus the marketing on what they want instead of what they need, because you kind of need to, what your clients need, but it's not sexy to them to understand what they need to do. They just need to know that you can get them to the result that they want to have. Does
yeah,
that make sense?
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And
And
that was one of the things I had to like flip my head around to understand, because for me it just sounded superficial to talk about a result when I knew all the things that they needed. But you have to talk about the results for people to get interested in your work, you know.
wow.
Mm.
And that's a really good point for anybody who's in
Right.
business or
Yeah.
entrepreneurship, because like even myself, I struggle with that a lot too, because I know, like, I have a business where discipline and high amounts of discipline is required because you're dealing with, people's money at times.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't want to talk about the discipline aspect of it. They just want to talk about the money part, which is really cool and really sexy, but it's like, I'm telling you, this discipline part is very, very important. But in order to
Mm.
bring them in order to, really pique their interest, I think it's very important, kind of like what you said, is that you talk about the results that they want. And then once they become a client, then you can cover what they need as well. But, before they really know you or, like you or trust you, it's a big component to really build that intrigue by saying, hey, here's the results you want. Here's what I've been able to help other people do. And here's how
Mm.
I can help you. So I think that was an excellent piece of advice. And I feel like it's highly underrated because there's times where I don't even do it. So yeah,
Thank you.
for sure.
It's just the psychology of how our human brain works. So like there's no way around it. It's just how we work. So we just have to do focus on that stuff when it comes to marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Absolutely.
I agree.
But before we keep going deeper into like the business side of things, I
Mhm.
wanted to ask one more question about like the relationship side, like the actual advice you give to your clients. So how does someone like how does someone engage a person that they like to talk to without being like awkward or without them like not feeling confident to go up to the person? Because I feel like that can relate not just in, just trying to talk with someone and date them and all that, but it could also relate to like people at networking events that are just trying to network as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fabulous question. So I wrote down a thing. The first thing I want to say is just to normalize the awkwardness. Like, just know that it's okay to feel awkward. It's like normal. And I also feel like the person you're going up to also will feel like a little bit of like, okay, what's happening? So it's completely normal to feel awkward. And I think that will just take the resistance out of it once you just normalize it. And I would really suggest to just start with a question, like a real simple question, like, do you know what time it is? Or can you point me in the direction of XYZ? Something that's just not too straightforward, something that is just completely simple, something that you just know.
Mhm.
Um, and then where did my notes go? Yes, and then introduce yourself after the question. That's like
Oh,
the easiest way you can do that.
That
yeah.
and that makes a ton of sense because like so we were at a networking event last night and one of the most like quality connections we made last night happened because she walked past us when we were like standing at the food bar and she's like, "Is there any more food left?" And
Right?
then she gets the food and then she turns around like, "Oh, hi, my name is so and so."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then like we talked probably for like 15 minutes just because she asked us if there was still food left. So I think that like I guess I've never really thought about that as like a strategy, more so just like a
Yeah.
oh, it just happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's like one of the most natural ways to kind of feel into a person as well, like what their energy is or their response.
Mhm.
So you kind of also get like if you're gonna talk some further with them or you just stay away, you know. Um, but I want to give like one extra thing, like when it comes to a little bit of, well, actually both dating and networking as well. That give them space. Like I've talked with them for a little while, it's really, really good to give the person space to like just go do your own thing or go talk to someone else, because it creates that desire,
Mhm.
both in a dating and networking, and it creates that little bit of curiosity. So it's really important to not just linger and stay there and just kind of just holding your drink or something and just be like, yeah, okay, this is cool, super awkward. So give them space after you've asked the question and then introduce yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a big confirmation for me too, because like I like to try to end conversations as early as I possibly can, just so I could like not kind of avoid that awkward lingering around. And it
Yeah.
Yeah.
was really funny because a guy that we talked to yesterday, um, like he actually did it to us, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool," because I was just getting ready to do that. Thank you, I appreciate it. Now I don't have to
Yeah.
do it.
Right.
It's so amazing how it's like dating is almost a form of networking in a way, and some of
Yeah.
the same
Mhm.
tactics really, cross over and work on both sides. And I feel like that's just an amazing thing, and I feel like that's something that entrepreneurs should explore more, because
Mhm.
if you think about it, if you're good at dating, you're probably really good at networking. And I actually found this out when we went to this it was this
Oh, the coaching panel.
yeah, it was this coaching panel, and it had like two dating coaches up there, and they were
Well, it was like a
extremely
sex coach and then it was a
yeah.
dating coach.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
And they were extremely, nice. They were charismatic. Everybody wanted to talk to them. They had this magnetic, attraction to them. And I do believe, like, even if you're not attracted to them, you're like, well, physically attracted to them. You wanted to, like, basically talk to them, be their friend, and these different things, and do business with them. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of that came from, the strategies and the tactics and the mindsets that they use in order to be, dating coaches and allow people to, date better. And going back to the mindset, what is a mindset that you think is paramount to actually being successful in dating, or even, networking with somebody, whatever the case may be? Like, what should you kind of internalize and think for yourself? Because what I like to say in business is, I would say it's 25% what you do, and then 75% how you think about what you do. So like that's something that I always kind of internalize myself. But what is your thought process on that? Like how somebody should think when they're approaching another person?
Yeah. That's a really great question. I love that you you asked me that because it's all about detaching from the outcome, detaching from whatever the other person is going to say or think or feel. because once you do that, you won't internalize any response, you won't internalize any negative reactions or any what's it called, that word, like when somebody does not want to talk to you, what's that word?
I think objection. Well, I think you said objection. Rejection.
Rejection, yes.
Yeah.
When you get rejected, you won't internalize it. You won't automatically think that, oh my God, something must be wrong with me, or I said the wrong thing. So
Mhm.
detaching from whatever the other person is doing or saying or feeling is so key. Like if you can do that, and in business, like when you go and network with people, or you send somebody a DM with an offer or like a freebie or something, completely detach yourself from whatever the person is going to say, and that leaves you in the power and the confidence, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That reminds me of the book Four Agreements by, I think his name is Don Miguel Ruiz or something.
Yeah. I can't remember
It's something
authors'
like that.
names.
But the four agreements, and one of the agreements it was don't take it personal. And that's like exactly what you're saying here. And it's like, it makes
Hmm.
total sense. Like,
Yeah.
if you don't take it personal that somebody cut you off, while you're driving, then you're not gonna be pissed off.
Yeah.
Maybe they
Yeah,
were late to work or something.
Yeah.
yeah. Like you're not giving them any power over your energy, over your state, you know.
Yeah.
Mhm,
So
And I
it's a
think
powerful thing.
that's
mhm,
really powerful as well, because there was I think some monk said it, but I can't remember exactly who. But somebody said it was something along the lines of the person who needs nothing attracts everything. And
Mm.
I've been listening to that for the past couple days. And also in this book that I read, Pitch Anything by Oren Clough, he also talked about the idea of the less needy you are, the easier it is to attract what you want. And that's something that, like, when you're new in business or even new in dating, and I was even, at one point in time, I would probably see myself as a very, needy partner. I don't know if I looked like that in the beginning, but at some point in time, I can be very needy at times. And I noticed that process, that act of being needy or being really attached to a certain outcome, it can have an opposite effect. So it's like you're trying to bring somebody in and you're actually repelling them. And it's just so powerful that when you put when you detach yourself from what you need or from what you want and just allow it to happen, that you really draw a lot of things onto yourself that you really desire. And it's almost magical. It's like I can't even really explain how it works, but I just know, like, these past couple months, and not really needing people, I've been getting
Yeah.
everything I want, and even more things that I didn't even know I wanted. I was like, oh, that's really cool. I didn't even
Yeah.
ask like that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's really, really cool. It's because you just allow things to happen. You have no resistance around it. You're not like focusing on it with this forcing energy. So it just comes, and it just comes quickly. Yeah, it's magical.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think part of the reason behind it is the fact that people um I feel like people naturally, the way we think, we want to be around people who are fulfilled. And if you're not needy, that must mean that you're satisfied, you're fulfilled. And then if you're fulfilled and you're satisfied, that must mean, oh, you have something that I need. So it almost turns the table from you needing something to the other person needs something that you have, because they see you satisfied, they see you fulfilled, and they're wondering, like, oh, what is he having over there that I don't have, like
Yeah.
I want some of that. So I think that's a really key piece of information. And I think also Will Smith talks about learning to be happy as an individual and fulfilled
Oh
as an
yeah.
individual, and then coming together with your partner to just really boost that. Um,
The red table talk.
yeah, and
Yeah.
not
It
and
was
not
a good talk.
yeah,
Yep.
and not needing them to make you happy or fulfill you. And he was also saying that, if you need a partner to make you happy, um, you're actually being, selfish. And I think the same thing applies to business, because every great business partnership I had, we were totally fine without each other. And then when we found each other, and decided to partner, it just really magnified that. It's not magnifying something negative, it's magnifying something positive. So that's a great
Yeah.
piece of information that I could talk about that forever, because it's like
Yeah.
so weird, but it works.
It's so good. And there's this thing with women, like especially when you get a family, like kids and everything,
Mhm.
what really kills the desire for a woman is to take care of a man. Like that's like the worst thing you can ever do to like a woman's sex drive and a woman's just natural feminine energy in that sexual area and that desire area. You
Mm,
literally kill the desire once you have that needy energy, or like feeling that you need to take care of the man.
Mhm.
Like we're just no, like there's not gonna happen anything tonight. And that's why a lot of people or a lot of women also say that they like bad boys, and what they mean by the bad boys is that they are men who takes care of themselves. They're individuals, they're confident, they don't need her. So that allows also her to be this open, feminine woman, and like the desires are just floating around.
yeah,
That makes total sense.
yeah.
I
She's like
mean,
bad boys too.
back in the day. But I really couldn't put my finger on like why is that? Like why do I want that if they're gonna like treat me like garbage? Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
want that.
sometimes it's just like self-sabotaging as well. So it's like it can be both sides. It can
Yeah,
be
for sure.
unhealthy and it can be healthy. So yeah, I was definitely with you there. So back in the day.
Yeah, for sure. So, like if somebody wanted to, I guess, start looking at being a relationship coach, what are some of the first steps that they should actually take? Like, are there like, coaching programs or things like that that you kind of you recommend, books that they should read, especially from being a young person, because you're really, really young,
Mhm.
and we're young too. And I think both of us are in a field where, people are usually looking at us like, well, are you old enough to, know what you're talking
Yeah.
about? And we totally are, and I prove it all the time. But it's
Exactly.
just that initial objection that I know I've gotten before. Have you gotten the same thing?
No, I've kind of just doubted myself about my
Oh,
age in that area. I've never received it from anybody from the outside, but like within me, yeah.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so that's another mindset thing
Right.
that you can also say that is really needed, is just having the confidence in yourself to know that regardless of where you are in life, what age you are, how you look, you are good enough to go out and create this thing that you so desire to create. But what are some other first steps that that person should probably take in their career, developing themselves to become a, dating coach or relationship coach?
Yeah. So I really am a big fan of like tuning into yourself before looking outward for answers,
Mhm.
because I really believe that we always have the answers within ourselves. We just need to allow it to come through.
For sure.
So what I want to say first is to ask yourself if it is your soul calling. Like, if it is your soul calling to be a dating coach or relationship coach or every other thing you want to do, ask yourself like, what do I really really love to do? What is the problem I would really love help people solve?
Mhm.
And then just trust that. Because in my journey I actually started by doing this dating coach type of thing. I just did a relationship coach, more like coaching women in relationships, but now I'm dating coach. um, and I moved away from that because I didn't trust in myself, but now I'm all the way back where I like started 2 years ago, but now I'm fully trusting what the initial answer was.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think the first step is to ask yourself, what do you really, really love to do? And what would you love to help people with?
Awesome. And I
Yeah.
think that's the first answer as well, just
Mhm.
for anybody who wants to get into business, because, I remember we knew we wanted to be entrepreneurs, but we didn't know exactly how we wanted to do entrepreneurship. And
Yeah.
like, it's so crazy. We got into business doing one thing, was horrible at it. And then this other thing, kind of happened so easily, but it seemed to be more complex to us, but it ended up being the thing that we were actually, really called to do.
Mhm.
So I really like that piece of advice.
Yeah,
One
and
thing,
I also
uh,
like the fact that you said that everything is already like within you, like you already know the answers. This is something that we've been talking about a lot like the last couple of days, just because it's
Yeah.
like we said it before, but it's like, from time to time you just forget like you really have the answers like within you, like right in front of your face.
yeah,
Like we've seen like the other day we realized that one of our partners, we could have had him in on like other aspects of our other businesses and not just on that business, and we're like, well, why didn't we have Cliff looking for the leasing space if he did this the whole time? Like
Yeah.
we kind of just overlooked him, and like we had to go out and find a leasing agent when it was like one literally right in our face.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah, so I love that you pointed that out because I like absolutely agree with that like 100%.
Yeah,
Yeah. And it's also when it comes to your unique self, your uniqueness as well, to stand out in a big pile of coaches or business owners or entrepreneurs out there in your niche. It's so important to listen to your own voice and your own intuition, because that is your uniqueness. Like that is what brings out your true natural colors and what will bring in your soulmate people.
Yeah.
So staying true to yourself is like across the board in every area of life. It's so important.
Mhm.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I just really love how we're like, I think the thing that makes this such a great podcast is that I feel like a lot of people, when they get into business, they want to hear about the numbers and the money and then the
Yeah.
Mhm.
cash flow and, how many clients you have and all those things. And I think those things are important. However, I feel like people uh, do not touch enough on the soft skills that are required in business. And I feel
Yeah.
like as a dating coach, you are really specifically tailored. Yeah, you teach people dating. However, when you take those same mindsets and those same, strategies that you implement in your dating life, I feel like it is so powerful when you apply it to your company, because you gave me some ideas that I was like, man, I need to do that. Like that
Right.
situation would have turned out real differently if I would have.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but another thing I've noticed that we've been doing this whole entire podcast, and I think it was kind of a mistake on our end, is that we were kind of interchangeably using the terms relationship coach and dating coach. And it sounds to me that there's a difference. And I kind of want to get clarification on that from you.
Yeah. So I think like there's people doing both in both niches, which
Mhm.
is kind of just messing it all up. But dating coach, I feel like it's specific to, the dating process, like you helping people get in touch with other people.
Mm,
Um, and you have specific strategies to how you can date better or become confident, or, how to attract the person that you want. And relationship coaches can be everything from helping people getting into relationships, but also helping people in relationships to have a better relationship.
oh,
So,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I
So
see.
there's a little bit of difference, but you haven't got it all wrong. Like there are people in both both niches there.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Cool.
So I feel like in the dating phase, um, so in the relationship phase, I feel like you're already, something already attracted you to this person. In the dating phase, I feel um, like that's the phase where people are trying to be attractive.
Mm.
And obviously there's, everybody has their thing that they like to see physically. However, from a personality standpoint or just a mindset or attitude standpoint, what are some of those characteristics that you feel make somebody charismatic when they, speak to someone or interact with somebody? Like, what are those characteristics? Because I have a friend, I'm not gonna say his name, but she knows who he is. Like, he literally dates anybody he wants. And he's not like the best looking guy on the planet, but he just, I don't know, he does something. And I
Yeah.
always wonder, like, dude, what are you doing? Like, how
Like
do you
we went to the movies and he's like, I bet you I get a free popcorn. Okay.
Wow.
So we go we go up to the concession stand and there he is, like the girls like behind the counter like giggling and smiling and I'm like, what?
it was so funny. And I think he got a free popcorn too. I was like,
Right.
wow.
Yeah.
So what are those things that you really make that you think really make people magnetic and attract people to them?
Um, Definitely their energy. Like, I think at the end of the day, the energy you have in your aura, in your soul, in your in your smile, even in your face, energy has everything to do with how people perceive you. And it's even before words. It's like your energy is what comes to you first.
Mhm.
And in addition to that, I would say just smiley, like being this bubbly, positive person, a positive person is really attractive.
Yeah.
So, and you don't have to, like, it doesn't matter what you look like because we all know that people that look really good that have shitty personality. So it's like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what you look like. It matters like how you feel about yourself. And I feel like from that, your energy will tell um, whether you're a great person or a magnetic person or, yeah, have less of a vibe, if I can
Yeah,
say
for
that.
sure. And that's definitely something in the past that I struggled with because, and honestly, I have no clue how I attracted you at all. But like, I wasn't
I
trying.
honestly thought he was slow.
Tell them.
But it was like I used to be one of those people that was extremely like introverted. Oh, and I also wanted to get your opinion on this, but I was extremely introverted and like I would almost like never smile unless somebody like talk to me. Then I would smile. But like if you would just catch me sitting somewhere, I don't. I had like you
Like a
know
blank face.
yeah, like I had like just this blank kind of stare on my.
Stone face.
So do you think that it is that this could be applied to people who are more introverted as well? And do you think that introverted people can be just as magnetic and as attractive to extroverted people, or is it just kind of always going to be they're going to lag a little bit behind just because they're so to themselves?
I think um, it it's definitely not only the extroverted, naturally out there people
Yeah,
who will attract most people or be most magnetic. I feel like it's just a matter of playing your strengths, like knowing where you're good, and just for example, going out in the dating scene. If you really like to read or something, like go into a place where you feel safe, like a library, for example, or going to a place where you have the confidence in, like something with your job or something like that. Like just know the area that you are confident in and you use those as leverage to meet people because you're naturally confident in that space.
Mm.
Does it make sense?
It
yeah,
does
that's
make
awesome.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I literally was like, I had like I had a personality. It was just really hidden behind like this
Yeah.
wall almost. And
Yeah.
even to this day, it's like people still get surprised because I do public speaking now. But like when I go over like her parents' house, like I'm just so quiet and like to myself. And then they saw me public speak. They was like, "Wow, we didn't know you like." I was like, "Yeah, I just don't talk to you guys like that all the time." But like, yeah,
Yeah.
I have a personality. It's just
Yeah.
it always doesn't show to the surface really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So to start wrapping it up, what is the number one takeaway that you like someone to walk away from this episode with?
Be intentional when dating.
being intentional.
Yeah, intentional. Know what you want. Stay specific and clear on what you want and just be intentional to get it. That relates to business as well.
Mhm.
For
Yeah.
sure. And I agree because it's like I feel like a lot of a lot of accidents happen in both business and in dating.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like, like it's just like things happen, and sometimes they turn out to be very good, but at the same time, like I always say, it's like I don't like to rely on being lucky. If I'm lucky, great, there's cherry on top, but I don't want that to be the reason why I succeeded in a specific area. I kind of want to know um, what works, what doesn't work, what should I
Yeah.
implement, what should I throw out. And I feel like dating is one of those things that a lot of people kind of just do it in a very lackadaisical way.
Yeah.
Whereas, there's some actual work and actual strategies that they should be implementing and that could have a really positive effect on their future relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because we were taught that, that real love just happens and it just, it flows naturally, and one day the prince will come and rescue, we were taught those kind of stories, and like that's not true. Like we need to go after what we want, men and women, to be more intentional with what we want and be strict with our standards and boundaries and desires, and that way we can create a lot more healthier relationships and based on real connection and communication, instead of just filling some type of void or just to have the attention.
Absolutely.
And I like how you just said to be strict with like your boundaries and standards and stuff. Because like that is, well, one is very important in dating and relationships
Yeah.
because you don't want to get stuck with garbage and then have babies with garbage, and then it's all messy, then
Hmm.
baby mama
Hmm.
baby daddy drama. But
Oh
then
my
on the
gosh.
business side of things, um like you you have to find like good business partners, because that could also get messy, just like the baby mama baby daddy drama.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
um so like just knowing and being strict about like who you would and would not have as a partner. Like we raise capital, so we sometimes we have to say no, we're not going to let them put any money in the deal. Like that's not a good deal for them. Or
Mhm.
maybe like we just don't like them, like period. And we know that they are going to be too, what's the word?
Frantic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like they'll be too frantic to
Mm.
even like invest in anything with us, because everything comes with risk. But like maybe some people are, they hate risk, so it's like, why are you,
Yeah.
we're not even gonna do this then.
Yeah.
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 So I love that you just touched on the being strict about that.
Hmm.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that are really lacking, especially though with dating and relationships right now, that people do not know. They're not clear on what they want when they look for someone in the first place, and then they end up 5 to 10 years in, and they're like, "Well, I didn't sign up for this, and the signs were there from the beginning." So it's like we need to get clear.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, in you're on the Abundant Culture podcast, and we like to ask this question to everybody that comes on because we really believe in abundance and the spreading of abundance. So, in your own personal life or even in your business, how is it that you spread abundance to other people in your life?
This was the question I had to think about a little bit. I've never ever thought about that question, but I love it. So I feel like I spread abundance with my energy and my confidence, because I've always been a person who gives a lot of joy to people's lives, just because, I like people to be happy and positive. So I feel like I give people energy and confidence, just just by being myself. Yeah, that's my answer. I
Yeah.
don't know if I got that right, but that just
No,
felt
I
right
mean,
to say.
yeah,
No,
I feel like it's
Yeah.
perfect.
everyone has their own answer.
Yeah.
Because some people give money, some people give time, like you give your energy, which is like very important. Like I think someone's answer one time was just making people smile.
Yeah.
Like that, and that kind of is like energy.
Yeah.
Like, because a smile, positive energy, that can go a long way. That could make or break someone's day. Like we never really know, like, what someone else is going through. So just like a small exchange of like positive energy could maybe like take them off the edge.
Yeah. True.
We believe in that for sure.
So I'm sure that people have a lot more questions for you, because this was a great podcast. Like, maybe they have questions on the mindset. Maybe they want to talk to you more about how dating and entrepreneurship are similar. Maybe they need help dating. Maybe they need to find a boyfriend or a girlfriend or whatever they need to go find. How can that person get in contact with you?
So I love Instagram, as I said, so they can get in touch with me there. It's Tiffany Gnaly. It's Gnaly on Instagram, and the same on Facebook as well. So just DM me or send me a message, and we'll get in touch.
Yeah. And just for our people listening out there, if you're single and you don't want to stay single, I suggest that you contact this lady, because I don't know any other people who does what she do. So yeah, I mean, I would just suggest that you go ahead and do that. And she's awesome. She gave tons and tons of value on this podcast episode, and we really appreciate her. So
yes,
definitely
thank you so much for coming onto the podcast, Tiffany. This was awesome.
Yes.
Thank you. I really, really enjoyed it. Thank you for your questions as well.
We're so glad you did. So that's all we have for today, folks. I hope you got as much value out of this as we did. Keep in mind, the only way we can improve is through constructive feedback. So remember to rate and review this episode. Also, you are not the only person that needs to know this super valuable information. So be sure to subscribe and share as well. Stay tuned for the next episode, and remember to always spread abundance. Peace.